Hello, my name is Connor McAleer. I'm a SST representative of Pirate Media. I'm here with California Senator Rosilicie Ochoa Bogh, and we're here to talk about her re-election. Would you like to give a background?
Sure. So thank you for asking, and I think many of your viewership is probably asking why I'm here today and how did this come to be. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation to come and share a little bit of my story of who I am and where I come from. I'm actually a daughter of immigrant parents who immigrated here, and my dad was 16 when he immigrated from Mexico, and they landed here in San Bernardino. As a matter of fact, my dad is a graduate from Pacific High School. So he attended here, and from here he attended San Bernardino Valley College. My mother was 18 when she immigrated after she married my dad, who was 3 years her senior, so he was 21, she was 18 when they got married, and she came to California, and a year later I was born here in California. So born here in California, but I had the opportunity to live. My childhood was split between the U.S. and Mexico. So going back and forth from Yucatan, living with my grandparents and my parents there, and then coming back here. So I'm grateful to say and have experience living in Mexico with my grandparents, who taught me about my heritage, gave me that sense of pride of where our family comes from, our values in education, hard work, personal responsibility, and the importance of faith, who God is, and how we should live our lives to serve Him, and through that process serving what we call al prójimo, serving our fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. So we have deep roots in the Inland Empire. My father-in-law grew up just down the street here from the school. So this building was built by my husband's side of the family, their construction company. We're very vested in the Inland Empire, and having, grown up here, have businesses out here. Children are, whether it's my uncles or aunts, my in-laws, and everybody there, they've all been either they've lived here, raised their kids here, or started businesses here, continue to teach here, have taught here. As I decided, and when I decided to run for office, it came very organically. I volunteered in different capacities within our city, within our church, within the Chamber of Commerce, within the school with my children as they were going through elementary school all the way to junior high. We're always very engaged in different capacities, volunteering. And all of that just gave us a lot of open opportunities for us. It is through that and serving as, on the board in the Chamber of Commerce, serving on the board for the Board of Realtors, serving, I was a field representative for a local assembly member, and that gave me an outside view of the impact that legislation in Sacramento has on our local communities outside of my own city. And I noticed in volunteering different capacities throughout my city, and then working in other cities surrounding our area, how the cities are very similar. We have the go-getters, right? We have people who are always volunteering. We have city electeds that are very vested in their community. So it gave me a wider view of what was happening. In any case, my predecessor, Senator Mike Morrell, who used to represent this area, termed out. And at that time, they were looking for a candidate, someone that would be representative of the area, that would be a good match to represent the people that live here in the Inland Empire. So I received a call, and they asked if I had considered running for office, and I had not, actually not for the state senate. I kind of laughed and chuckled. So I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't have the skill sets to be able to run for state senate. And I remember the lady who called. She was a chairwoman of the local county Republican Party, and she said, that's a typical answer of a woman, that you're not ready and you don't have the skill sets. He goes, had it been a male, they would have said, yeah, I've got it. I can do this, and we'll move forward. For me, it was a little different because, as a mom, I had 3 kids, and I know what it's like to feel responsible for the lives of 3 children. And when I thought about representing 1 million people, which the Senate district represents 1 million people, right now I'm representing just over 1.2 million people, I felt a heavy burden, responsibility to represent the well-being of that many people. And it was overwhelming. I thought, can I do that? Can I have the emotional fortitude, the intellectual fortitude to be able to represent and meet the needs of my community members? So I actually prayed quite a bit. I knew that I did not like the toxicity that was happening in politics and in government. And I had been very effective, in my different capacities, the different hats that I wore in my community to navigate different political perspectives, different demographics in a very amicable, respectful, and effective way. And so in looking into taking the opportunity to run for office, I thought, what a great opportunity to model what I would love to see in government and in politics. And I knew that what we currently had was not the world that I wanted for my children who had raised with certain values. And I thought, I don't have any control over anyone's actions or their words, right? I only have control over my actions and my words. So I thought, what a great opportunity to have this platform, model what I want to see in government and in politics, and hopefully plant the seeds for a new way of doing things in the future for those that are coming up in leadership. And that's why I took that on.
All right. Thank you, ma'am, for your motivational background on why you want to pursue politics as a career. If you don't mind us asking, what specific goals do you have for re-election should you be elected?
Great question. Well, we've been very effective thus far in helping our constituents learn the power of their voice, how the legislative process works, and helping navigate the legislative process in order for them to engage in this process. So I would love to continue that process of education and empowering the Inland Empire, which Riverside and San Bernardino County is the fastest growing region in California. So imagine if we had an informed and an engaged citizenry, we could have great impact in the direction of legislation across the state. And why that is important is because the Inland Empire is very unique in its growing numbers and priorities and values and needs. And so it would be great if we could actually have an influence, a greater influence in Sacramento. So my goal is to continue on that advocacy group, empowering people with the ownership of their voice and engagement, being informed about legislation that's being introduced, vetted, and signed into law in California, as well as hopefully being impactful in lowering our cost of living, because it's so expensive to live in California. Housing is super expensive in the state of California. Public safety, a lot of neighborhoods do not feel safe today in California. And quite frankly, our educational system, trying to see how we can ensure that we're graduating more individuals in STEM-oriented careers, which right now, as a whole, when we look at countries like China and Russia, they're graduating engineers, mathematicians, scientists at 8-to-1 in comparison to the U.S., and then Russia is graduating these individuals at 4-to-1 in California. So if we don't up our game when it comes to preparing our students for the workforce of tomorrow, we will not, as a nation, be the logical leader that we could potentially be if we prioritize our frameworks in education, especially in science.
What would you say has been your most significant accomplishment in your time as a senator?
Wow, there's several. Where do I start? I would probably have to say the legislation that brought forth the conversations with regards to mental health bed capacity expansion in our state. As we all know, homelessness is a huge issue in our state of California. Behavioral health is a huge issue in the state of California. And through my conversations with various stakeholders, including our sheriff for San Bernardino, Sheriff Shannon Dykes, he came and brought to light the fact that the state of California did not have enough mental health bed capacity to take care of the needs of people suffering from mental health and opioid addiction. So I introduced a bill twice that would expand that capacity and the workforce in the state of California. I had bipartisan full support in the Senate with the first time around. And with that, I was asking for an allocation of $1 billion a year to expand that capacity and the workforce, which is desperately needed in the state of California. It died in appropriations because they thought it was too expensive. It wasn't, couldn't be afforded. And so the next year I introduced it again, and I said, well, maybe if we capped it at 3 years, spending that funding for 3 years to expand it, that would work. Well, the second time when I introduced the bill, I introduced it, I believe, in February. The governor actually came out in May and said, for the first time ever, now is the time to expand mental health bed capacity. He was going to fund it not the way that I did it, but I always say, it's like, I brought the idea first and you had conversations about it. Obviously it was good enough, and now the governor is taking the lead on that. Overall, it didn't matter who took the lead, but as long as we're expanding that, I think is important. His approach is different though. He wanted us to pass a bond to build that capacity, not from our general fund, but actually borrow money to build it. California's had an opportunity to vote on it this past election, and so it did pass, barely, but it did pass. And so hopefully we'll be building that capacity and the workforce that's needed.
Something I also wanted to ask, how can our youth be more informed in the upcoming elections, for context? How can they be more informed and engaged? Why should they be informed and engaged?
That's an excellent question. So there's a variety of ways that you can engage in the political process, because the political part is what puts people in place in leadership that then governs your personal life experiences, right? So do your homework. Research the candidates that you're voting for. Don't vote blindly. Be an informed voter. Do your research. As someone like myself who currently holds office, I'm an incumbent, I'm running for re-election in Senate District, and the newly redesigned Senate District 19. You folks can go to our government website, see the legislation that I've introduced, worked on, my priorities, and then we have the political side where you can also learn about opportunities to become interns in our office and learn more about our vision and how to help people get elected. We have internship programs on the government side, where you can learn more about how government offices work. And you will also have opportunities for internship on the political side if you want to learn how to get your leaders elected in California, whether it's, in this case, it would be in the Senate. But follow us on social media. We're on social media, both government and political sites. We're on social media. We have government websites, and we have a political website where you can learn about the values. But look to the candidates that you're voting for. Ask them questions. Ask if they're doing any community meetings, any town halls. Follow them on their social media, or email them, or call their offices. But learn to see if those candidates reflect your values and whether or not they would be good representatives. Ask tough questions. Don't shy from asking those tough questions.
Well, that's great. Don't do your research and don't vote without knowledge.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Senator, for your time and for your input.
Well, once again, thank you to Pacific High School for allowing us to come here, and thank you to the students for doing this. Thank you for showing your leadership, and whatever we can do to elevate your leadership opportunities, your learning opportunities, please do not hesitate to call our office and let us know how we can be of help. We're here to serve you.
All right. Thank you again.